One of the key Republican senators who opened the door to the bipartisan infrastructure deal released a statement condemning House Democrats from holding up the bill. West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito wrote, "I'm deeply disappointed that the House decided to postpone the vote on the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act this week. Shows the fallacy of House Democrats holding a bipartisan infrastructure package hostage to try to force passage of the $3.5 trillion reckless tax and spending spree." And joining us right now, West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito. Senator Capito, welcome back to the National Desk. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So you were one of the first people to have the president's ear when it came to the infrastructure bill. At this point, we know progressives in the House will not budge. Do you see this coming together? And where do we go from here? What are the chances neither bill gets through?
Well, I think the bipartisan infrastructure package that I began the work on and that we here in the Senate passed over to the House is a missed opportunity for the House. I believe that improving our physical infrastructure, roads and bridges and broadband, waterways, all these things are absolutely critical to moving forward and modernizing our transportation sector. That's a win. And I hope we haven't lost this. I am very concerned if they tie it so tightly to the $3.5 trillion. It's a non-starter for probably every Republican, not just in the House, but even in the Senate. And so I think that they need to keep these bills separate. They need to hand the president a win on this infrastructure bill and then figure out what they're going to do on the other one, which I hope doesn't see the light of day.
Right. Well, Senator Capito, not only is it a non-starter for Republicans, but also your colleague, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Have you talked to him?
I have. I talked to him yesterday. We talk almost daily, and I think he's been very strong in terms of what his opinions are. And I think he also is committed, as I am, because we know what it means to our state to see this bipartisan physical infrastructure bill actually pass. That's the key, I think. You know, we have to keep the main thing, and the main thing is passing that infrastructure package.
And you know, in the beginning, President Biden emphasized his willingness to cross the aisle to get things done. You met with him personally to try and get the bipartisan deal passed. What do you make of it being the president's own party who's holding up his own agenda?
Well, I think the president's party has the president, that's the Senate, and the House. No excuses here for them. And I think what they realize is there's no mandate here for systemic overarching change and spending and raising taxes that for some reason, some members of the House seem to think that they have a mandate to move forward. The president's a deal maker. Certainly my experience with him in the White House was that he wanted to reach a consensus deal that we could agree on, and we did in the Senate. And so I think that the president's got to be very concerned about the willingness of some in his own party with the infighting that's going on to really tank his entire agenda.
Yeah, and let's quickly discuss also the debt ceiling, because we know what the GOP's position is. You know, Democrats have to go it alone. Why do you think Democrats haven't already come up with a separate reconciliation bill to deal with the debt limit that their party can agree to?
You know, I can't understand why they didn't put the debt ceiling onto maybe the rescue package or attach it to this reconciliation package. We know the parliamentarian has told us that at any time the Democrats can, with a 50-vote majority, pass and raise the debt ceiling. They need to do it. It's on them. They're the ones who want to increase the spending astronomically. But not only that, if you look at President Biden's past voting record on the debt ceiling, 3 consecutive times he voted no. And why was the reason? He said it's on the Republicans in the early 2000s who had the House, the Senate, and the presidency to pass this. And I think that's the same message he needs to send to his Democrat leadership here on the Hill. We don't want to default. None of us want to default. They need to move forward. For the life of me, I can't understand why they haven't already. They're making it a much bigger deal than what it was originally.
Isn't this also an opportunity, though, for Republicans to draft a proposal as well for budget reform?
Well, I think if we felt that there was some kind of negotiating that could go on, which is what happened in the past with Nancy Pelosi, the last couple of times that the debt ceiling was raised, there was a negotiated package. There has been no offer of negotiation here. It's just a straight up, we want to raise the debt ceiling, get on board, and we're not going to do that. We have to have concessions and we have to have some constraints in terms of moving forward.
Very quickly, yesterday, you announced you were supporting the Afghanistan Counterterrorism Oversight and Accountability Act. What would this bill do?
Well, what we need to find out is who have we left behind? Why were they left behind? What was the exit strategy? What is our plan going forward? How are we going to be able to find the intelligence and the ears on the ground to find out what's going on in a country we know does and could foment terrorism under the regime of the Taliban? So we're just asking to really have solid answers, both on the diplomatic side, but also on the military side, not just what happened, but what we're going to do in the future to address these issues.
Yeah, and it also authorizes sanctions against Taliban officials and foreign governments that support the regime and engage in terrorism as well as drug trafficking. And it also advises against recognizing Taliban officials as U.S. or United Nations ambassadors. How important is this?
That is important. I mean, what message are we sending around the world that we would legitimize a regime that is known for terrorism when we see the reports of torture and other extreme measures being used right now, and when we see the segregation of the genders for school and the oppression for women and girls after we made such great strides during the 20 years that we were there? I don't think a body like the United Nations or any legitimate government around the world should sanction that kind of activity by recognizing them.
Senator Shelley Moore Capito from the great state of West Virginia. Always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jan.